Dear God, please give us some sweet, sweet peaches this year. It's year 3. Please just give us some fruit. Give us a peach, maybe 2, maybe 3. An abundant harvest is what we seek. So, with that, today we're gonna weed around the base. These are called suckers. They're kind of like mini branches. Right now they're super flimsy, so they just look like grass. But I believe if you let them grow long enough, they'll actually start to look something similar to this. Either way, we won't find out because again, we don't want competition with the main source of life, which is the branch. I'm sorry, the tree trunk, the base. So we're actually just gonna throw these on the ground because compost. And then we're just gonna saw. I could probably do a better job of pruning, but I am starting to see, some little peaches form. And that's a really good sign, I think. It's honestly been a bit since I've studied up on my peach tree care. So I'm kind of going off of memory from last year. And if memory serves me correct, I know for a fact I saw these starting to bud. I don't remember there being as many. And one of them turned into a semi-edible peach. Fucking getting so hyped just thinking about the idea of harvesting a peach that I grew. Ugh. Love it. I got distracted. Probably should add more compost just to give it a little bit of a refresh. It's kind of late in the growing season in the sense that it's April and it's been a couple weeks since days have gotten longer, or at least like the spring solstice equinox. I'm not sure which one it is, which to me is when everything started to really come alive. It's almost like clockwork. Like as soon as like daylight savings came, flowers just started blooming. It was pretty cool. Again, the reason we're removing this crabgrass and some of these other weeds at the base specifically is because we don't want these roots to be competing for nutrients. I did plant some beans in this area last year. You can actually still see remnants of the beanstalk that climbed all the way up. Oh yeah, look, beans are here. We're just honestly just gonna throw them right back in. Thing about beans, and I don't think these black beans fall into this category, but beans fix nitrogen. I forget the exact process, but they essentially process nitrogen in a way that is beneficial to the soil, and that's what a lot of plants feed off of, if not all. I'm rusty right now, I'm not gonna lie. I've been traveling the past damn near month. Just came back from a 6-day trip in the south, went on an HBCU college tour with my job, which was fucking awesome. And the week before that, spent 2 weeks in Japan, which was also fucking awesome. So I haven't had much time to garden, haven't had much time to really hone in on the craft. I haven't really planted anything new for about half a year. And part of that was because I was taking a class and feeling like I shouldn't really commit to anything in the garden because there was this expectation at the beginning of the class that I would be revamping the garden, as you can see. And so I have definitely been missing just the satisfaction of seeing seeds turn into fruit, just kind of going through the process of caring and really just learning and being outside, getting the hands active. So it's definitely nice to be back. I've enjoyed being in other countries, or I've enjoyed traveling, being in other environments and seeing the sort of landscapes that exist out there outside of my own zone. And of course, the cherry blossoms were fucking magnificent, lived up to the hype. And then some. Kyoto was beautiful. It was literally a dream. And even in Alabama, which is where I was in the South, Alabama, and spent about a day in Atlanta. But the southern treescapes are so interesting, so much different than what we have out here. California, we have much more of a biodiverse set of like treescapes along, like throughout the city and along our highways. And Atlanta and Georgia, like we drove between the cities, and I'm sure there's a variation of trees, but it looks like pretty much the same damn tree, which is just like very tall, very thick, light absorbing trees. It's very scary, or at least for me, it's kind of associated with like a little bit of a creepy vibe, some like beginning of a horror movie type So yeah, I always enjoy traveling, and now having a little bit more of an eye for plants, kind of noticing how current and past people in the area use the geography to grow. On one of the tours, we toured MLK's, Martin Luther King's birth house, and the guide at the national park ranger was telling us how he was kind of breaking down each room and explained how the majority of folks back in, I want to say the 20s or 30s, when Martin was born and kind of grew up as a youngster, majority of folks were growing their food. You know, they didn't have refrigerators, and especially being black in the South, very racist, very segregated era, access to grocery stores was extremely limited, and there were many barriers towards shopping at the grocery store. So oftentimes folks were growing their own food, and it was stories like that that really just, really, I don't know, man, for me, just was very timely, very important to hear. One of the main videos that popped for me last year was the first gen gardener video. It was like one of the first videos I posted regarding my garden bed, and people really gravitated towards this idea of being a first gen gardener. And I think for me, I had just kind of set it off the cuff, just thinking, like, this is nobody in my family that I can remember gardens. We've all sort of from urban areas, at least the family that I was exposed to growing up. And one commenter noted that, we're not first generation gardeners, or I'm not. She's a black woman, so she was saying we, as in black folks, are not first gen because our ancestors, that's what they had to do. And that really stood out to me, because I don't want to just use a term because it sounds cool and branding, and I really could have ran with it, I think, early on, but it just didn't sit right, because I do think that is a little bit of a short-sighted, or I don't know, I think I just kind of overlooked a really deep and real history of manual labor, of agriculture, of survival. And to just say that, oh, this is the first time that somebody in my family has done this, which is like the implications of the term first generation. You're the first generation to accomplish something. I thought it would be really negligent and really just inaccurate, and sort of do my family a disservice. And I know that, at least on my dad's side, my family in Nebraska definitely was farming, and my family in Belize, who I visited, also live in agricultural like areas where maybe they're not growing all of their food, but growing food is definitely part of the lifestyle. So I don't know, I just really appreciated that trip, because it reminded me how close, how recent it hasn't been very long since our communities have had to rely on the land to survive, to pass down generations of knowledge, to be outside, to be in community for the purpose of survival. And that's just a beautiful thing, man. I think I've always been attracted to nature and being outside and being disconnected as much as I love to be connected. There's always been a part of me that has yearned for that disconnect from technology and integration to the earth, and tapping into what I consider to be the most spiritual and real place, which is the thing that feeds us, the ground, the soil, the earth, the animals around us. So yeah, that trip was fucking amazing. I actually have a lot more ideas or just reflections about that. But I'll kind of leave it at that since we're talking about garden stuff. So, yeah, I want to post more long form. Having been away from my laptop, having had time to reflect on what I want my future to look like, I think gardening is a big part of what's helped give me some confidence on the internet and posting videos. But I think at the end of the day, my work as a community college counselor, working with Black and Latino APITA communities, working with those communities is what got me into education. And education is what brought me into creating videos. And the sole purpose of me to create videos was to share, to inspire, to entertain, comedically. We love a good laugh, but ultimately to connect. And I really want my videos to not just be about gardening. Like, gardening is fucking fire and I love it, but I am so much more than just, you know, an epic gardener. I'm not just that. I think there's so many ways that gardening connects to some of my interests, and that I'm trying to figure out how to bridge the two. But yeah, man, I want to start posting on YouTube, or I will start posting on YouTube. Hopefully this ends up being an actual YouTube video. I usually shoot wide and then crop it up vertical, but I'm going into the weeds a little bit. Get it? So for now, I still got some more weeding to do. Maybe I'll cut this, maybe not. But all in all, I'm really looking forward to creating more videos that are longer form, maybe a little bit more ranty, something that people can connect with outside of just learning about gardening. The world is in a very, at least the American world is in a very precarious place right now. I'm enjoying my vacation in Tokyo, having a good old time, existing in like a completely different universe. And I turn on their local news, and who the fuck do I see? Bitch ass Trump talking about some tariffs. And that's just a sliver. Turn on my TikTok, fucking Palestinian activists getting snatched up for what? For dissenting. Come on. Like, it. So it was like being in Tokyo, seeing that, kind of trying to live my life and enjoy my life and the freedoms that I have been afforded, but my heart is never able to fully disconnect from what's really going on in the world. And it's difficult for me to turn a blind eye and be quiet. And although I may not share these opinions online all the time, it's something I'm constantly thinking about, especially as somebody who is contributing to the online algorithm. I don't want to be politically agnostic. I cannot be politically agnostic, but I'm also not trying to be a political commentator because I don't think that is my expertise, and I don't want that to be something that defines me or something that people look to me for, because I'm just not as well read as other people. And so I do have opinions, I do have perspectives, but I don't want that to be the main thing that I'm sort of commenting on. So, after going from Tokyo, kind of still being bombarded by the reality of American politics at the moment, I then go to Birmingham, Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia for 6 days and do essentially like a civil rights tour every single day. And that was fucking insane, bro. Like, I am a California kid. I was hating on, I just had like preconceived notions about Alabama, like I would never live there, still might not. It's very red. It's like the heart of the Confederate. I'm just all the way good. And honestly, a lot of my perspective on Alabama was of the white people there and the white history that existed, and that sort of shades or colors Alabama, the perspective of Alabama that I have. But after visiting, meeting locals, we had some tour guides who were locals. We got a chance to just kind of exist in Alabama and experience that Southern hospitality in a majority Black city. Completely reshaped the way that I saw that place. And I have so much more respect and love for the folks in that area and the deep history that Alabama is responsible for. It's like, that MLK is from Alabama, Georgia, but that's just not what I associate with like current day history and current day movements. And I feel so very lucky to have been able to learn and challenge my assumptions, because it's so much deeper than that. Went to the Legacy Museum, and the Legacy Museum is a place where they really connect slavery to, let me rephrase that. They show you how slavery has not ended, but rather evolved. And I know that. I knew that coming in. But the way that they depict it, it's a very immersive experience that takes you from, it puts you in the shoes of somebody who is stolen and thereafter trafficked. And not only did they not choose this life, they were forced into this life, and their children and their children's children. There was a picture with 5 fucking generations of slaves. Imagine you think, you're hopeful that this will end. You're hopeful that your family will be free, but it takes 300 years. That shit's very moving. And then not only that, once slavery is over, Jim Crow, mass incarceration, war on drugs. And so the museum does a great job of sort of literally, visually walking you through that history. And honestly, made me fucking cry. Like, I legitimately shed tears at the end because of how it's fucked up, man. It's, nobody chooses their parents. Nobody chooses the life that they're born into. You're just dealt a set of hands. And I think as somebody who has been able to experience privilege, but also be very firsthand, experience oppression from a systemic level, it's easy for me to, or I think I've been positioned well to understand people in a different way. And so, recently I've just been wanting to leave the country because of the politics. And I think by the end of that tour at the Legacy Museum, I can't quit. I can't abandon the fight. The number of people who have died, like literally given up their life, knowingly and unknowingly, for me, for you. It would just be, again, irresponsible of me, or negligible, and just downright not sit right with my spirit. I can't leave yet. I still yearn for a different environment, but the fight in America needs all of the soldiers, if you will, all of the willpower and support that it can get. And I refuse to let my talents and let my skills go to waste, because so much has been poured into me. So many people have sacrificed for me. My family, professional support throughout the years. There's just no way I can and let that go to waste. At least not knowingly. So yeah, man, Alabama, Georgia, must visit places. If you are a Black American, absolutely must visit the Legacy Museum. And I'd visited the African American History Museum in DC. Very moving, very long though. And so I think that length sort of dissipates the impact. So it's like a long run. Well, yeah, you're exhausted, you're tired, but it's a different form of exhaustion, right? But when you lift weights and you're going like sprinting balls to the wall, it's like a deep tired. It's like an exhaustion rather than like a fatigue. And I felt exhausted after that museum, but in a rejuvenating way, in the sense that there was more clarity as to how we got here and what we're fighting for. And the only difference now is that it's not just Black Americans, it's now Black Americans and, right? It's still an attempt to reinforce racial hierarchy with white supremacy reigning at the top. And white supremacy is inherently a class based hierarchy. And so I believe that through class solidarity, racial coalition, and solidarity, we can do something. We are doing something, right? And we have been always it's a war, so there's wins and losses. But all that to say, I'm just trying to figure out what my role in the fight is. And at least I know I can start with the camera because of how successful it's been so far for my own endeavors, and being able to make money with the camera, make money being able to tell stories, make money being able to share my experience. And of course, I want to make money, and fucking capitalism, you need money to live, to exist. You literally need money. But I think the beauty of gardening, to kind of tie it all together, is that you don't need money at the end of the day. Money is fake. Money is merely an incentive to get people to create things, and ultimately does create a way to divide and to separate yourself from other people. And so who knows what this turns into, but that's just kind of a glimpse into what I'm thinking on April 20th, 2025. Smoke some weed, grow something, grow some weed. Do something, man. Just don't be apathetic. Apathy is not an option. I believe that was I believe that was the name of one of the films that we saw. That was also very moving. But yeah, I could talk about this all day. I think the weeds are good. I think there could always be more. There's still mulch at the top, which is sick. But I gotta go. I gotta go take my laptop to get repaired. And that's another story for another day. Oh my God.